Hey, welcome to your Taurus horoscopes for the first week of October, the week of the 1st through the 7th. And we are going to continue into this week with that grand trine that we had next week for about, let's see, 2 whole days. Yes, the first 2 days of the week, which oddly enough are the days that the moon is in Taurus as well, Sunday and Monday. So we're kicking off the week with Taurus the moon in Taurus. And it is going to join that grand trine, actually, as it moves into conjunction with Uranus. It will join that grand trine as well as Uranus's grand sextile with Pluto and Neptune as well. We continue this grand trine with Uranus, or Uranus, I should say, continues this grand trine with Mercury as well as Pluto, as well as forming a kind of a difficult T-square with Venus as well as Saturn. So that's a pretty major challenge, which is sort of lining up with a pretty major aspect that's really helpful, a couple of them really. So it's actually a good thing that you have these to counterbalance all of that challenging energy. Let's actually start with the challenge and then work our way up to the good stuff. Because I always love to end the story on a good note. This T-square that Uranus has with Venus as well as Saturn does cause a little bit of a challenge. Venus is still really focused on long-term goals, and Saturn is very much focused on the mind, mirroring again, because we're still retrograde, mirroring back at you the responsibility to your own brain. You have responsibility over how your brain works. It's actually kind of interesting. I have noticed this with myself, and I find that a lot of the things that I do, if I'm not doing something that's using brain power, will continue to just let me sort of sit in my hamster wheel, for lack of a better way of saying it, and just go over and over and over whatever it is that's bothering me. And the moon's really going to be amplifying this on Monday as it moves into conjunction with Uranus. So now we're going to make this even more of an emotional challenge, which is very frustrating. With Uranus focused on your day-to-day schedule, it does sort of feel like, and it may be really easy to convince yourself, the power of the brain, that you just don't have time to do the things that you want, that you just don't have time for your long-term goals. Like there's so many other things that need your time that you just don't have time to do the things that you want. That does not put you in a very positive mindset to tackle the things that you do have to do. So it's kind of bad all the way around. And I feel like this is really going to be potent on Monday when the moon is a part of this. Now, to counteract all of this energy, we do have that grand trine with Mercury, which is focused on your career, as well as Pluto, which is focused on the past. And that's actually kind of interesting too. We have a lot of energy, obviously, going towards career goals specifically. So it may be that you're just so focused on your career goals and money-making goals right now that you don't have time for other goals. That doesn't mean that you will never have time for them, right? Honestly, I think that the way that we project things in our minds sometimes really convinces us that we either do it or we don't do it. We can't just like put it off for a couple of weeks or something like that, do something that actually makes sense. Believe it or not, humans really make no sense most of the time. Pardon me. So we're learning valuable lessons from the past here. And those valuable lessons from the past are going to be helpful because it does show you all of those times where that kind of mentality sort of got in your way, tripped you up, maybe created some, didn't create success for you, made you unsuccessful. And so you want to avoid that in the future. And this mind thing could actually have a lot to do with it. Speaking of grand sextiles, not that we were or anything, but we're going to move on to that as well as Uranus continues to be in a grand sextile with Pluto and Neptune all week long. That's actually something that's going to be sticking with us for a minute, which is good. When we add Neptune to the mix, Neptune is focused right on the border of being focused on home and your responsibilities at home, but also your mind and how your mind works. And what's really interesting about this is we have Saturn's influence in the mind and how the mind works in this challenge here. So it's really important, I think, that two planets that are reminding you that you are in charge of your thoughts and the direction that your thoughts go in. You are in charge of whether or not your thoughts are constructive or destructive. And it's really important to be mindful of that. Really easily, what tends to happen is it just kind of sort of we get the nagging worry thing in our mind, and it just goes and it keeps going and it keeps going. We're not paying attention to it. It's driving us crazy, but it just keeps going, right? We have the control to put the brakes on that, to change the focus of our thoughts, to maybe change the focus of what we're doing so that those nagging thoughts aren't there. Think about it this way: when you're in a great mood, the sky is the limit. You can achieve anything. When you're depressed or you're not in a great mood, it's exactly the opposite. It just feels like nothing you do is going to bear any fruit at all. And it's really frustrating. And it's really kind of, it did that sadness just goes into the next thing and it goes into the next thing. And then before you know it, you just are literally stuck in it. And it's so hard to get out of. So there's just no reason to allow yourself to fall into something crazy like that. So that's what I have for you guys this week. If you love your horoscopes, do click the link and send me a copy. I would greatly appreciate the support. If you are listening rather than watching, that's ko-fi.com/heavy metal psychic. And check out heavymetalpsychic.com. It is about to change completely. It'll be a whole completely different website, but check it out anyways, and you can see the old and be there for the new, which is going to be lots and lots of fun. I am Melissa Bruce, Heavy Metal Psychic. Thanks so much for watching this week, and I will see you guys next week. And in the meantime, you guys kick some butt this week, because you always do. I don't even think I've ever met a Taurus that doesn't kick like a whole bunch of butt. So go ahead and get those goals achieved. It doesn't matter which ones, and the ones that you can't get to this week, put them off until next week. They'll still be there for you. That's what's really important, right? You guys have a great week, and I will see you next week.